OneDrive is Microsoft's offering when it comes to cloud storage. So if you've ever used an application like maybe Google Drive, then OneDrive works in pretty much the same way. Now, if cloud storage is a completely new concept to you, the way to think of it is like this. Historically, we have our files stored in the C drive on our PC, and those are very much local to our own PC. So if I wanted to share, let's say, a Word document, for example, with my colleague down the corridor, the way that we used to do that was to simply attach it to an email and send it off. But that does come with its disadvantages. With cloud storage, we can save up into the cloud, which is effectively very similar to an external drive, and other people have access to that storage, making it really easy to share files. We can also do things like co-author documents, spreadsheets, presentations using OneDrive as well. So multiple people can jump into the same file and we can see the changes that they're making in real time. And the basis for all of that is knowing how to save our files into OneDrive. And that's what we're going to explore in this lesson. Now, in terms of accessing OneDrive, when you install Microsoft 365, part of the setup process is to set up OneDrive. So it will walk you through the steps you need to take. If you find yourself in a situation where you have downloaded Microsoft 365 but you don't have OneDrive, you can simply click on the Start menu and search for OneDrive, and you should see this thing here at the top of the list, OneDrive app. If you double click to open that up, that will then walk you through the setup process. And with OneDrive, you can have personal accounts and you can also have business accounts as well. For example, I have both because I have a personal email address, but I also have a business email address. And I like to keep my personal documents separate from my business documents. And another important thing worth noting about OneDrive is that we can work with it online through the portal, or we can synchronize it with our local PC and work with our cloud files within File Explorer. I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later on. For the time being, let's start out by taking a look at OneDrive Online. Again, we're starting from the Microsoft 365 Hub. We're going to click on our app launcher and open up OneDrive. So this is what the interface looks like. On the left-hand side, we have our navigation menu. I'm currently clicked on Home, and within Home, we can see the recent files that we've saved or accessed through OneDrive. I have some filter buttons at the top, so if I'm just interested in taking a look at Excel files, I can use that filter, or I can look at all of my files. Notice just above we can create new documents directly from within OneDrive, which is really useful, or we can upload any files or folders that maybe we have on our C drive. So if I have a file that's stored off to my desktop that only I can see and I want to share that with other people, I could upload the file from my desktop. Nice and straightforward. I then have a My Files link, so if I click on that, it's going to show me all of my files that are private to me. And if you take a look at this list, we have a mixture of folders and also documents. In this case, I've got 2 spreadsheets in here. Now, the information that we can see in these file lists is I can see here the date that this file was modified, who it was modified by, the file size, and the sharing status. So you'll see that most of these are private to me, but the last file here, the product list, I've actually shared this with 2 other people, Adele and Grady. We have a shared link just here, so this is going to show you any files that have been shared with you. So I can see here that Adele has shared meeting notes with me, and I can see that through this shared area. I then have an area here for any files that I've marked as a favorite. So if we go back to my files, notice as I hover over this Excel file, I get a little star here. If I click on this, it's going to add it into my favorites. And then finally, we have our recycle bin, and this is where you can find files that you've deleted. So very simple navigation. Now let's go back to My Files again and take a closer look at what we have in here. If we want to move through our folder structure, we can click on, for example, Notebooks, and it's going to take you into that folder. And you can see we have a breadcrumb trail at the top, which helps us easily get back to where we were. I can click on My Files to go back a step. Also notice that with the documents, so let's go for product list. If I click on the actual name, it's going to open up that file in Excel Online. So remember, we have online versions of all of our applications as well. and I can now work on that file, and my changes will be automatically saved. And that is another really important feature of OneDrive. You no longer need to remember to save your files because it's automatically saving back to the cloud all the time. Some other things that we have in here, if we hover over any of our files, we get a few other options. We know what the star is, that's to favorite, but we also have a share option just here, and if we click the three dots, we have a whole menu with loads of other options as well. For example, I can open this Excel file within the browser like we just did, or if I have the desktop version of Excel installed on my PC, I can choose to open it in that instead. And working with this file in either of these is pretty much identical. Everything saves back to the cloud. I can preview the file. I've got another way to share it. I can copy the link. I can manage access, delete it, move it, all different kinds of things from this menu. You can also see in the top right hand corner we have some options for sorting, so I can sort by type, name, modified. I'm currently just sorting my files in ascending order. We can choose to display in a list, in a compact list, which gives it slightly less room, or we can display as tiles. So this is very much personal preference. Now, another really important button that we have in here, and again, we're going to talk about this in another lesson, is the sync button just here. Because I mentioned that even though we are working in OneDrive Online, we can also synchronize our files to our PC to make them a bit easier to access through File Explorer. So we're definitely going to come back to this button a bit later on. Let's just finish up this lesson by discussing this quick access area on the left-hand side. Notice what we have underneath here. We have some of our groups and teams that we've set up. For example, if I click on Project Alpha, you can see there I have 2 folders. If I click on General, I've got 3 documents stored in there. And these are actually files that have been shared within Teams. So Project Alpha is feeding through from Microsoft Teams so I can see those files. And if we want to check that, we can open up Teams. And if we scroll down to the bottom, Project Alpha Team at the bottom, General Channel. If we jump across to the Files section by using the navigation menu at the top, you can see there are the same files. So things we share within Teams will effectively feed through to OneDrive as well. And you can see that this is linked through to Teams because if we now take a look at the buttons that we have running horizontally across the top, you can see one of them there is Go to Channel. So it's going to allow you to jump directly to the channel where these documents were shared. So that's a quick run through of the OneDrive interface when you're working online.